Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Welcome, everybody. Today we have Howard. It's been a fun chat we were having earlier before the show even got going. We were talking about gas prices finally coming down and just life slowly getting back to normal. Other than that, Howard, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Josh. My name is Howard Wolpoff. I'm a profit acceleration specialist. I work with small business owners on a regular basis, pretty much those that have been throwing the spaghetti against the wall concepts of marketing and really creating a mess and spending a lot of money in the process, because the concern I have with them is they don't have a strategy. You become part of someone else's. And given 45 minutes of their time, I can show them how to increase leads, sales, and revenue, find hidden revenues in your business, and really get you to enjoying and loving your business again. Sometimes you lose that in the process. And my focus is to deal with business owners' vulnerabilities so they can capitalize on their opportunities.
Those are all really good topics, especially like you were mentioning to me, just the niche of all the different nuances of starting your business, going from like a worker to a business owner. You missed so many things doing that transition.
Yeah, it's amazing because people go to college and they have a focus on, I want to be this when I grow up, and you learn to be an employee in college. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a small business owner, that's not what you're really taught. That's not the focus of college. There are programs that do have certain things with entrepreneurship and marketing within different departments, but overall, you are learning on your own to figure out these different needs that you have to succeed in the track that you want to be following. So again, that's why that's what I do. I answer these questions. I help bring the light to the challenges that these small business owners have.
That's wonderful. Before we dig into that, can we get a little up and coming story of yourself and what led you to this point?
Sure. I've always loved marketing. I kind of fell into it somewhat in college doing different events, and I was a political science major coming out of school, but I realized that I wanted to pursue marketing, and particularly at that point, sports marketing. So I did a lot of volunteer work at the National Hockey League and the NBA, and did different events. We're finishing up the World Cup right now. I helped with the opening ceremonies of the World Cup way back in 1994 when I was here in the United States. I worked for a Major League Baseball organization, setting up and running a minor league baseball team. I helped market and launch a major sports complex that's well over 20 years. The anniversaries hit a little while back, Chelsea Piers in New York. And I've always had that love for small business owners within the means of doing that. Lots of different small business advertising and marketing at the ballpark when I worked in Brooklyn, New York. We launched the Brooklyn Cyclones, and in national and local radio as well. And then ran accounts for 2 different marketing and advertising agencies before launching out just to work individually with small business owners.
Wow, sounds like it's just been a busy up and coming story for that one. Because I'm gonna say marketing on those, especially those caliber of those clients, they demand a lot and very quickly.
They're very different aspects of marketing that I've experienced in my career, and that basically everything is the same. A business has a budget and a focus and what they want to accomplish in the end. Some of these companies are massive. Like I've worked with the McDonald's and the Lowe's and then those companies, and in my experience, I've worked with the mom and pops and the little bit larger small businesses. And the difference is budget, and you have to focus on how creatively you can use your budget to make sure that you're getting a message out there and getting a response from it.
So what are some of the tactics that you go over? Let's say I'm a new client onboarding. What would be some of the things we'd first go over?
I think the first thing is really to understand who is your target audience. First of all, you want to market straight to that audience. I like to use an example. that if you are someone that makes skin lotion, your audience isn't everyone that has skin. It's people who have a specific want and need for skin lotion. Maybe they have a skin condition that lotion works well for. It's a very small percentage of people that have skin. So once you understand who your target audience is, then you have to understand that they're on a journey. And there's a problem they don't want, a result they want they don't have. And if you can answer those two questions in their head, then they're going to want to have a conversation with you. If you can't, then they're going to go off to try to address it with someone else. So everything that you're doing is to focus on your audience, is to create methods and opportunities for you to communicate with them. That means a website that is really a 24/7 salesperson as opposed to just a digital brochure. And your offers need to feed into what their wants and needs are, as opposed to just what you want to sell them. And there's obviously a broader process with that. We're having different opportunities and different scales for customers to get them in the door to have them grow with you.
Yeah, and especially like I like how you said with the skincare one. Depending on the person, like I was not really into the idea. Now I'm kind of like, oh God, like my hands are drying out, like I need lotion kind of thing. But if you talked to me 6 months ago, I'd been like, nope, I don't need it.
Yeah, so with that example, sometimes it's to do with the weather, sometimes to do with just your personal tastes and experiences. Some people have rough hands and will never use lotion. It's just, but you have to figure out what your market dominating position is. What is it that you do? What is it that makes you bigger and better than anyone else and stronger? And how is it that you can help people and provide added value in the process? Because all your messaging is going to come from that. All your, whether it's a slogan or a part of a campaign of how you're messaging yourself and what your brand is all going to come from that.
100%. So let's say I have my target audience. It's like predominantly middle-aged parents, 2.5 kids, has an athletic background, is open to the idea of coaching, like the whole list. And so, but I can't reach them, kind of thing. So what would be the then process? Do we get to do the pay-per-click ads? Do I have to like run a LinkedIn blogging campaign, podcasting? What would be some of the tips you'd give me?
Well, again, it starts with what kind of budget do you have. I think that even with the concept of there are a lot of people who don't even have a budget in their for their business for marketing. So I say that because you mentioned pay-per-click advertising. If you don't have a budget or you don't have enough funds in the budget, you can't afford pay-per-click advertising. Even some industries, they're just so expensive to do that. If you're a lawyer, for example, there's just no way you're going to cut through the clutter unless you have a massive budget for that type of advertising, because there's so many different attorneys that are advertising with different keywords for what their specialty is. So you have to get strategic with who your audience is. Again, sometimes there's a lot of it from the different things that I've done. You looking at events, looking at different community marketing, try to go down to the basics of who you're dealing with, and then also it's trying to make sure that you have your right messaging out there at all times. So you mentioned LinkedIn. There's a lot of things you can do with LinkedIn, but if your profile does not really state who you are and speak to your audience the way they need it to, again, there's a problem they don't want, a result they want they don't have, and you need to be addressing those two questions on a regular basis. They're not going to feel the need to follow up with whatever you're sending or requesting or communicating with them. And that's a very broad term because there's lots of specific ways to interact and try to grow an audience utilizing LinkedIn. So there's no magic pill in that's one size fits all for everyone. It really is looking at the individual business and saying, okay, this is what strengths you have and how you can speak to this audience. These are some of the things that are not as strong, and then trying to really find where your audience is and crafting the message so that it's there in front of them.
Interesting. So, because like one of them, I was told by a guest, he said, "Oh yeah, get on LinkedIn," but he's like, just slam out thousands of messages, and eventually one of them will hit, and I'm like, that gets really repetitive. And I see one, I'm like, nope.
The answer to that is yes. You can. They limit you how many messages you can send, but there are people that will respond to the message you send. Now you have to craft it that, again, your first message to connect with someone on LinkedIn is not, I have something to sell you. And I joke and laugh about it because if I open up mine right now, I probably have 10 people in the last 48 hours who've sent me an initial message pretty much saying, I have something to sell you. People don't want to be sold. They want to have interaction. They want to make connection. So there's a whole process of finding your audience, interacting with their posts on their on their pages or groups that they're in. It's trying to have that, develop that relationship in addition to reaching out to become a linked with them. But don't expect anything to happen just in that first message. Years ago, there was a 5 messaging process that you have to go through to nurture a relationship on LinkedIn. But it's not, again, nothing out there right now is one size fits all, and really you have to carve the right time and have a strategy. Everything needs the right strategy and the right implementation to go along with it.
So let's say I go with more like the podcasting route. I do the gambit and hop on podcast. What would be some of the strategies from that you would recommend?
So if you are, I guess there's two looks at that. If you are guesting on podcasts like I am right now, you have the opportunity to speak to an audience that isn't your own at the moment. So again, it's based on the podcast theme. You've kind of broken down the basics of what kind of audience you are speaking to, and you're really sharing the information you have about yourself and telling stories about the things you've created for other clients and other people that run across your paths to address the issues that people are having as they're going on their journey. So if I'm speaking and there are small business owners out there, as this example, that are really having pain, they're having problems, they're having issues, that my hope is that the statements that I'm providing really address the problem they have they don't want, which is, I need to fix my business and I need to generate more revenue and enjoy it a lot more, the whole process. And the problem that they want, they don't have, the resolution they want, they don't have, is finding the resource to address that for them. So obviously going on multiple different types of podcasts, you can find your right audience to speak to them and speak to these different audiences. If you're hosting a podcast, you're becoming the expert in your theme, your title, your topic of your conversation. So if I'm running a podcast on home improvement and I'm bringing on different experts about home improvement, I'm giving tips on a regular basis, I'm hoping that you look at me as Tim the Tool Man and want to utilize me and my resources as time goes on, as my audience grows, and I'm bringing in different audience with the different types of guests that are coming in, and their people are listening to what they've shared in the conversation.
So it sounds like it's more of a dance. You should do both. Like if you are hosting, you should go on other shows. But if you're a guest, you should consider a type of podcasting for yourself, or just full-time guesting. That works too.
I think in both you're trying to provide value. I want to provide value to not just the hosts that I'm speaking to, but the listeners of their podcast, that the time they're spending to listen to this is valuable to them, and they're learning about how to improve their business or find me as one of the resources that they might be considering. As the host, you're trying to, like, when I look at it, I host a podcast, I host online TV interviews for a website, dailyadbrief.com. I speak to advertising agencies, owners, and executives about marketing. And I want to tell their story. I want to be the conduit for their story to be shared and told. And that's the important thing at the end, that they feel that they've had an opportunity to be heard, and give pearls of wisdom to based on whatever themes and topics we've been discussing, that the person who is listening is going to walk away with something valuable.
Yes, that's very true, especially nowadays where a click of a button and we can have a podcast. You have to make it a safe place for people to come share their knowledge, like you were saying, and wisdom be heard. But also just, if you can, make it entertaining too. But depending on the topic, that might be hard.
True. And there are topics that are more, I guess, in the weeds than others. But it's all about the comfortableness of the conversation, and people have the people that listen to your podcast have a understanding of the flow of your voice and the rapport you have with people, and that's what helps bring them back. In addition to the topics that they're listening to, you want it to be a welcoming space that people can absorb the story that's being told.
100%. Yeah, how I explain it to people. I'm like, if you come at it with like not in a bad way, but like an alpha energy, like we're doing this, very intimidating, and the psyche kind of like closes down and doesn't want to share because it's like you're bombarding them. But if you just make it free and easy and just go where you go, try to like hit it as you're going along. They'll tell you things you're like, I didn't even think of asking that kind of thing.
Yeah, it really can be. I've learned a lot from listening to podcasts. I've learned a lot from having a conversation on podcasts. I made some great contacts in the process as well. You really make some nice relationships because it's one thing to go to a networking event and have 3 minutes to talk to somebody and you hopefully get that rapport and try to develop someone in your network this way. But the conversations I have as a guest on a podcast go 20 minutes, an hour, depending, varying based on each one. And I'm now getting to know someone, and for a while, you don't usually get to have these types of conversations on a general basis, or walk into a coffee shop and sit down next to somebody and then speak to someone on a like-minded topic like this for an hour. So it really is the wonders of technology and what the COVID world has brought with a lot of these Zoom conversations and being able to share them with others.
Oh yeah, yeah, and especially like I was chatting with one of my guests. He's a very high profile, like president for the company UBS.
Yep.
And I was just talking with him. I said, yeah. He's like, oh, how's your shows going? I'm like, oh man, like I didn't know how to say no, and now I'm like doing 8 interviews a day, 4 days a week. And he's like, oh wow. He's like, what was your most recent one? I'm like, I talked to a professional wrestler from the 80s. Now I'm talking to a president of a publicly traded company. He's like, wow. He's kind of like, man, you hit like everything then. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I do. But so question for you, for strategy wise, coming back to that one. Let's What are some of the key points that you see for revenue that small business owners are missing? Like the top 3 or 5 things you see.
Sure. I think the first and foremost is they may or may not have a defined offer, but they don't see anything outside of that offer. So let me explain. You want to provide an opportunity for people to buy from you. So if my offer is okay, so I used to work in the health club industry. And so if someone walks in and wants to talk about health club memberships and they decide they don't want my annual health club membership offer, they're going to walk out the door. I don't want them to walk out the door. I want them to try the club in some way, and maybe price is the issue, maybe location is the issue. There could be a lot of different issues in their head that they're not sharing with you. So if I have a downsell, if I have an option for them, so okay, you don't want to buy the 1 year, I understand that. What if I sell you a 3-month membership for a lot less money than what I'm asking for the annual membership? Here's an opportunity for you to try out the club. You're not spending as much money, and you can then decide whether it really works for you or not. You obviously came in here because there was an interest in being here. So now, instead of them walking out and you didn't get $1,000, you may have gotten $300, but you got $300 and their foot in the door in the process of hopefully now 3 months go by, and you can renew them for the $1,000 at that point for the membership, because now they're trying it out and they now have an experience with it. So utilizing the opportunities like downsells, upsells, and cross sells, McDonald's is the best when it comes to an upsell or a cross sell. So I'm sure people are quite aware of, you're ordering a soda, and when they ask you if you'd like to supersize that, then you're getting the same. You wanted a soda, now you're just getting a larger soda, but you're spending a little bit more money to do that. That's an upsell, and you can do that with one of your offers as well. This is your A offer, but you actually have an A plus offer as well that you can then, when they've made a decision, okay, I'm done, perfect, let's make a deal. You can say, well, I also have this, and so it's a little bit more offering, but it's also for a little bit more money, and see if they're interested in doing that. Because the key to that is 34% of the time, if you make an offer like that, they're going to say yes. So if you don't make an offer like that, you're leaving money on the table a third of the time. Cross sell, going back to McDonald's, is if I came in to buy a burger and they ask you the famous question, would you like fries with that? You may have not thought about fries, although it's very strange for that to happen in a McDonald's setting, but they've offered you the fries. You say yes, you now bought something that goes with the offer. So if you have something that goes with the offer, or you can go out and purchase it and then sell it to them, so you're making a profit in the process, you can generate revenue. Like, for example, if you go into a cell phone store and you're going to upgrade your phone, they're not going to let you just go out with a phone. They want to sell you a case, a screen protector, maybe new earpieces that go along with it. They want to bundle the purchase, so you might be buying a lot more, but you're also spending a lot more money. You're getting some discount, and you feel there's added value in the process, and that really is the key. They're really seeing the value of being there and your care as a salesperson to provide them with the things they actually really do need.
Yeah, I would agree. There's many times I've been caught on a downsell, and it's now like looking at it, I'm like, oh, I totally see it. But at the time, I'm like, wow, okay, I wanted to buy this, so I bought it anyways. For instead of the $50, it was like the $15 kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes it really comes down to price. I really do need it and want it, but I really can't afford it. But if you give me something that's a little bit less, but I'm spending less on it, I might jump right at the offer.
Yeah,
Not all
so it's like,
business owners do that.
yeah, it's like it's like the big ticket item or nothing. So then, who's your predominant clientele you deal with? Because you were telling me before I hit the record button, it's not like the marketing for plumbers, or are you? It's like whoever's just willing to call you.
Well, basically, I'm dealing with small business owners who really have an undefined marketing strategy. So I really focus on something I call measurable marketing. And there are different ways that people look at it. There's a smart methodology that goes along with that. It's being specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timed. So now there's a whole process of what the marketing strategy is, and you're not overreaching, you're not overstretching, you're not overspending. You really have, okay, here's a plan, and I'm going to make sure that this is implemented in the right way. You're being realistic on things. So if you want to do some promotion in the beginning of February, you can say as much as all you want. You know what I need to do? I need to be on a Super Bowl commercial. But how realistic is that? Do you have $5 million for 30 seconds to spend on a commercial, and that's just buying the airtime? That's not the production of the commercial and everything that goes along with that. Most people have the answer to that is no. So is that a realistic concept? But there are guerrilla ways you can do certain things. If you're adamant about it, there are local spots that are sold during the Super Bowl that are at a fraction of that cost. I say fraction. I'm sure it's well in the 6-digit world, but not the 7-digit world. But you have all local eyes on that game. They're not moving, and they can see your commercial, and it's just like the Pepsi commercial that was run. So just being realistic, making sure you have the right timing of what you're doing, and measure, because you really want to have a good understanding of what you're doing and whether there's value to whether you're doing it or not. So going back to your original question, I work with small business owners who've kind of been around for a couple of years. They've been working for too long and too hard, not seeing all the efforts of their business and their results. They really starting to really not like their business, but they're kind of stuck in this boat and then have to figure out how to make it sail.
Hmm.
and really have not seen the revenue levels that they need. But it's also they haven't had the full implementations of a marketing strategy implemented into their business, and it's amazing when you kind of fix certain things. There might be small things, might be big things, and the results that come in from that. It's really it's refreshing to see the smiles and the relief on clients' faces when things are working and they're starting to see the revenues that they've been hoping for.
Oh, 100%. So there was one thing you mentioned earlier, was the four steps. Can you give me a little more detail of your measurable marketing, the four steps of those?
Sure. So again, with the SMART methodology, there's actually there's six of them.
Oh,
So
six. Okay.
you really have so you okay, lost my train of thought on that one. So you have to
It's
be
okay.
specific. So your goal might be to increase brand awareness, but that's not really a specific objective. So because brand awareness is very bold, but maybe you want to say, I want to increase my followers on Instagram by 10% every month. So that's something specific that you can that's concrete. It's something that can be attainable. When you're focusing on something measurable, the company may have read about the benefits of blogging, but having a company blog is not a measurable objective. But there are measurable aspects of blogging or posting video on YouTube, and you can figure out, okay, I'm looking at the number of comments, the number of subscribers, the number of page views. That's something that's measurable in the concept, not something that's broad. Having something that is actionable. If you are trying to increase your, going back on the blog example, your readership by 5% each month, you need to put an action plan to do that. I'm going to write 3 blog posts per week. I'm going to put out 2 videos a week. I'm going to do videos on Instagram. I'm going to do it on TikTok. So having an action plan, being realistic with your objectives. Again, that's the Super Bowl the commercial example. Doing certain advertising in a local sports bar or doing some online ads as opposed to the Super Bowl commercial. That's more realistic for your budget. And something of a focus on timing, and you want to incorporate Facebook advertising into your business in part of your marketing plan. You have to make sure that you know when people are coming to Facebook, when's your audience going to be there, and make sure that those ads are hitting at certain times, if it's specific posts that's being posted at certain times. So these are the general concepts from a broader marketing plan. But again,
Mhm.
I use an example. The opposite of this is throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And you don't want that because you can spend a lot of time, effort, and money to do that. But you need to implement a structured plan on what you have in your needs and what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to resonate with it within your audience. And you'll start to see results when you do certain things and have these right implementations.
It's very true. So I'm just curious for you because you mentioned it 3 times, blogging. Is that still feasible? But it seems like everyone has a blog anymore, kind of thing.
I think when it comes to blogging, and I'll interchange when I give that example between blogging and posting video.
Okay.
I think video is a lot more responsive. People really react to video a lot better. However, blogging, there's still a purpose to it on the SEO front for your website.
Okay.
This is so using the right keywords and having a blog post that's updating you, putting them up on a regular basis. It's not just for the story, and in all cases, people may not read the story, although it does give you content to put onto LinkedIn, to put onto Facebook. There's a lot of ways it translates, but having those right keywords and showing Google that you're adding to your website, it is a working document, not just a digital brochure, helps your SEO and helps more of your organic exposure.
When you put it like that, yeah, then that makes more sense. Even if you get maybe like 10 listeners, since probably 5 of them you're just double checking it's up.
And it's I guess separate but connected to it, I'm a huge fan of Google My Business, and people don't take enough opportunity with what Google is. Really a free opportunity to let Google know that you exist and let other people know you exist. So if you're writing a blog post and you're taking that blog post and you're posting it onto Google My Business, you're giving them content as well. It is tremendously beneficial for your business.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard a few people recently talking about how you need to use Google My Business if you're serious. And a few of the other entrepreneurs are like, but please, for God's sake, don't put your address down as your place of business, even if it is, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the point. If you're an entrepreneur working from home, you don't want to do that because it's mapped, so people can see the map. There's a lot of easy ways to go about that. There's a lot of co-work spaces out there. So whether you're there to actually sit, so you're not sitting in your home, you're sitting at a desk or an office in a co-work space for like $300 to $500 a month, or just even getting mail there, those $100 a month to use the address. Now you have an address that's not your home.
Yeah, that was a big one. They said they're like, it just don't put it at your, because one of them was like, I'm still having to deal with the residuals because Google does not like change. So once you set it, they want you to stay there.
Yes, they can be trying to make changes with that with Google is not a fun process.
Have you had to deal with that?
I accidentally posted something, I guess, from my personal email connected with my business. And then lo and behold, I found that I had two Google My Business pages because of it. So it took a while to merge the two together. It was some glitch. And the problematic was I had some strong reviews on one and strong reviews on the other, and I want to merge them two together. And in the end, I lost the reviews in the process, some of the reviews in the process.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yes, it happens. But again, you learn from these different mistakes. I'm not sure exactly how the additional posting came about, but lo and behold, they caused two different pages.
Man, that's crazy. So for the implementation part of all the marketing, let's say I'm an aspiring podcast coach, but like I'm bootstrapping it. What would be the kind of like what we were talking about earlier, would be the YouTube, the blog, just making content till something sticks and is measurable?
Well, no, it's the opposite. Is making a plan and then implementing the plan. So videos can be part of your plan, and so you want to make let's say 3 videos a week that you're posting on one or multiple platforms, and you want to track to see what kind of response you're getting. So if you're tracking, see, I want to get 20 more followers a week. How interactive are you with the people that are making comments, and are you asking for? And I have YouTube in my head at the moment,
Right.
asking for people to follow. Are you having those end screens so people can easily click and follow or go to some of your other videos? It's really trying to. You don't want to run like with football. You have 11 players on a side. You have to have a play before you start the motion of the ball moving, because everyone needs to know exactly what direction they're supposed to go in, so you don't have chaos on the field. So because the day goes by very fast. I think as you get older, your day actually goes faster for some reason.
It feels like it, yeah.
You can say, okay, I'm gonna make comments on people's posts on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna make these videos and I'm gonna put them up. Again, if it's just you by yourself, it's not just recording something, unless you're doing something very quick, like a Facebook Live where you do no editing. If you're putting something on Instagram or on TikTok, you may want to edit down what you're doing and put in words on the bottom so people can read what you're saying, so it's not just automated and all the misspellings and misjudgments of what you have to say. This takes a lot of time. Even editing a podcast by yourself, it could take well over an hour plus to go through and get the ums out, and if someone has a brain freeze and now it's like 10 seconds of dead air because they couldn't get the next word out, trying to chop that down so they sound better, graphics to go along with it. It takes a long time to do that if you're doing it by yourself. So that everything I just said has nothing to do with the work that you're doing and the interaction you're doing with your actual clients. So your day can be spent on all of that and you got no work done. So you have to have a plan. Everything has to be scheduled out, finding different ways, if you can, to spend a little money to have people helping with the process until you're growing your business where you can hire on people on a full-time basis. And you just got to keep your head above water and not get lost in the minutia.
Yeah. Especially how you said like the 10 seconds of for me, when I look at my editing, I notice I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna cut that out real quick because that's not going to be appealing. Yeah.
My experience with radio, first I was with selling traffic sponsorships around the country. So though you hear the traffic report, this report brought to you by Geico, and they give a 10-second live read of the sponsorship. So working with the script to make sure it fits into that space and just thinking things out on that level made easier when I went to I was running sales and marketing for the local sports radio station here. And there were certain campaigns where I actually did my own editing of the commercials, and knowing it had to be in 30 seconds, those those spaces, you got to figure out how to play with those sound waves to make sure things sound great, because for the client's sake and for the voiceover person's sake and for the radio station's sake. So same thing with the podcast. You want someone to sound amazing. And there's lots of work that has to go into that sometimes when they have a tendency to say and over and over again.
Yeah, there was one one guest that came on, and he was like, we were doing this, and I was just upset there, and I'm like, gosh, it took me like almost 2.5 hours to clean up everything, and I'm like, nope. I was like one of those, unless they specifically asked me to, I'm not cleaning up that audio like that anymore.
It can take time, and those that are out there thinking about podcasting, it's a fantastic way to market. It's a fantastic way to prospect, because you can utilize it as the only guests you have on there are prospects for your business, and that part's fantastic. But there are companies out there that will do all that work for you, and it could save you a lot of time for just a little bit of money.
Yeah, there's like some of these production companies I see, they'll do like an hour worth of editing and like for like $69. I'm like, if I had the money, heck yeah, I'd pay them. Like, here, just do it.
It's part of the fun of this of podcasting.
It is. So this has been extremely informative and good. I'm struggling to think of anything else to ask. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about or go into?
I think the key thing is that I love telling stories. I also love answering questions. So I'm always available for people who, if you have you have a general question about marketing, general question about business, I'm more than happy to answer questions that can help you in any way, with no real need for contracting business in that respect. Obviously, I'd love to be able to help rebuild people's businesses. That's what I do. I love helping tell their story in different ways and find ways for them to tell their story. And that's the greatest benefit for me. But basically, there's multiple ways to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn actively. Again, Howard Wolpoff is my name. Very easy to find me. The company is Profit Master Business Solutions. So my website, profitmasterbusinesssolution.com, is a way to find me there. And I'm always willing to have a conversation with someone.
Absolute honor and a pleasure. I got a lot out of this. I'm sitting here like, thankfully Howard can talk, because I'm sitting here trying to reel in. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to say next?
Well,
thank you so
my
much.
pleasure.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple, and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel. Change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.